The energy inside the Southside facility was absolutely electric as the Pittsburgh Steelers wrapped up their mandatory minicamp, giving us our first definitive look at how this roster is taking shape for the grueling season ahead. This is the time of year when dreams are either forged in the June heat or completely left out in the cold, and the drama coming out of these practices has been nothing short of spectacular. We are officially witnessing a massive changing of the guard in the Steel City, with careers hanging in the balance, massive contract extensions shaking up the salary cap, and a quarterback room that is actively catching fire with intense competition. Don't miss a single second of this absolute roller coaster of an offseason. So make sure to hit that subscribe button right now to stay completely updated with daily, elite-level Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. When you look back at the rich history of this franchise, minicamp has always been the crucible where future championship DNA is discovered. Think back to the legendary teams of the past where unheralded rookies or overlooked veterans used these exact weeks to force the coaching staff's hand, establishing the foundation for historic Lombardi Trophy runs. How many times have we seen June storylines directly dictate what happens when the snow starts falling in January? It is a beautiful, brutal cycle, and the current roster is feeling that exact pressure right now as they transition into the final phase of organized team activities. The coaching staff on both sides of the ball has already implemented the core concepts of the playbook, leaving these final sessions primarily for the younger, hungrier prospects to prove they belong in the black and gold. The massive financial statements, edge-rushing royalty and tight end monsters to truly understand who walked away as the biggest winners of minicamp. You have to look directly at the front office because the organization just handed out two earth-shattering contract extensions that completely redefine the future of this team. Let's start with the absolute home run deal for linebacker Nick Herbig, who secured a monstrous 4-year, $100 million contract extension. The sheer volume of this deal is a loud, undeniable statement that the front office views this young man not just as a rotational piece, but as a premier, elite edge rusher who will anchor this defense for the next decade. When you look at the structure of the deal, the front office worked their classic financial magic, taking a minor salary cap bump this year to allocate just around $5 million against the cap, keeping the immediate flexibility completely intact. Next year, that number balloons to an intense $28 million cap hit, but we all know the team's front office can restructure that in their sleep if they need extra breathing room. For the 4 years following this season, Herbig will carry massive $20+ million cap hits, completely solidifying his status as a permanent, franchise cornerstone starting in 2027 and far beyond. But what does this mean for the immediate future? This creates a truly terrifying scenario for opposing offensive coordinators. The team is fully locked and loaded to deploy a ferocious three-headed monster on the edge, featuring TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and now the heavily compensated Nick Herbig. Imagine the absolute chaos of a specialized NASCAR pass-rushing package where all three of these athletic freaks are on the gridiron at the exact same time. Herbig has shown an uncanny, explosive ability to disrupt the quarterback early in his professional career, and keeping him on the field as a designated game wrecker is going to elevate this defense into a truly historic tier. On the other side of the line of scrimmage, the financial fireworks continued with Darnell Washington signing a beautiful 4-year, $42 million contract extension, with an incredible half of that money fully guaranteed. Mark my words, 3 or 4 years down the road, we're going to look back at this exact moment and realize this contract was an absolute steal for the organization. Washington is a unique, physical marvel who acts as a literal extra offensive lineman on the edge, while possessing the soft hands to be a devastating check-flat safety valve and a violent runner after the catch. His towering frame presents a completely unguardable mismatch in the red zone. Sure, he might not be a refined, crisp route runner who is going to mirror a wide receiver, but that is exactly why you have a dynamic, pure receiving threat like Pat Freiermuth in the tight end room. These two complement each other flawlessly, giving the offense a versatile, heavy-set personnel look that will absolutely punishing opposing linebackers. Locking both tight ends down for multiple seasons is a massive victory for the identity of this offense. Breakout stars and intriguing tryout triumphs. The good news didn't stop with the massive extensions. as the rumor mill is spinning with reports that a lucrative long-term contract extension is actively being negotiated for defensive tackle Keeanu Benton. The front office clearly views Benton as the ultimate heir apparent to the legendary Cam Hayward, who is undeniably entering the twilight of his illustrious Hall of Fame caliber career. Which brings us to our crucial question of the day that I want every single one of you to answer. If you could only choose one to sign to a long-term contract extension right now, would you prioritize locking up defensive tackle Keeanu Benton, or would you save that money to secure elite cornerback Joey Porter Jr. to a massive deal? Sound off in the comments below, because I want to see a massive debate on this one. The situation with Benton is fascinating because while a deal was rumored to be imminent last Wednesday, nothing has officially crossed the finish line yet, suggesting that negotiations might hitting a couple of minor speed bumps regarding guaranteed money or contract length. When you analyze Benton's trajectory, he is a prime candidate for a massive breakout campaign because he was arguably miscast early in his career under the defensive staff. For reasons that baffle the imagination, Benton was frequently deployed as a traditional, space-eating nose tackle. That role completely stifled his natural gifts. He is an explosive, gap-shooting interior penetrator who thrives when he can use his elite quickness to disrupt plays in the backfield, rack up tackles for loss, and terrorize quarterbacks from the inside. Asking him to anchor the middle of the trenches and absorb heavy double teams from 320-pound guards completely neutralized him, primarily because he lacks the elite, lower body anchor required for traditional two-gapping. This miscasting was a major reason why the run defense looked incredibly inconsistent and porous over the last few seasons. However, the addition of a legitimate, proven run stuffer like Sebastian Joseph Day changes the entire math of this defensive line. This allows Benton to be unleashed as a designated interior pass rusher, creating a phenomenal rotation alongside Hayward and the highly anticipated rookie specialist, Jajon Newton. While Benton's raw stat sheet might not scream resetting the market, interior defensive line market values have skyrocketed across the league. He won't be cheap, but as long as his contract doesn't compromise the team's ability to pay Joey Porter Jr., who plays a premium boundary position and has shown elite lockdown traits, getting Benton locked up is a brilliant forward-thinking move. In addition to the financial security of the established young core, Minicamp produced two spectacular tryout success stories, with veteran tight end Robert Tonyan and linebacker Jamin Davis performing so well that they earned immediate roster contracts. Tonyan brings a wealth of pro experience and a deep, historic connection with the veteran coaching staff and quarterback room, giving him a very legitimate chance to battle his way onto the final roster as a highly dependable fourth tight end. Meanwhile, Jamin Davis is a fascinating project who was seen working exclusively with the outside linebackers. The former first-round pick of the Washington Commanders back in 2021 has officially transitioned into an edge-rushing depth piece. Weighing in at under 240 pounds, Davis is incredibly light for a traditional edge player, meaning his functional playing strength against heavy, downhill run schemes is going to be a major question mark. However, as a situational, lightning-fast pass rusher on third and long, his athletic upside is off the charts. If this edge group stays healthy, the team will likely only carry 4 outside linebackers into the regular season, meaning Davis will have to put together an absolute masterclass during the preseason to cement his spot on the final 53-man roster. Aerial fireworks, rising starlets, and hometown heroes. The absolute headline-grabbing moment of minicamp belonged to the offense, where elite quarterback Aaron Rodgers looked completely revitalized, showcasing his legendary golden arm by launching an absolute missile that traveled over 70 yards in the air to hitting rookie wideout Roman Wilson for a spectacular touchdown. Can you even begin to fathom the sheer excitement of seeing a multi-time MVP quarterback throw a perfectly placed deep ball like that in a local jersey? Beat writers and media members who were present at the facility could not stop raving about how incredibly fast his arm action looks, proving that his elite arm strength hasn't diminished a single bit. Rodgers looked incredibly comfortable in this offense, commanding the huddle with supreme confidence, building an immediate, rhythmic connection with his new targets while continuing to elevate established playmakers like DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth. This deep ball connection is an unbelievable sign for Roman Wilson, who has been generating massive rave reviews throughout the entire spring. Now, we have to keep a level head and remember that June football is played in shorts and helmets. This unpadded environment heavily favors shiftier, explosive speed elements who can exploit space without the threat of physical press coverage or brutal collisions across the middle. Wilson's historic struggles against elite physicality during his early collegiate days mean we must wait until the pads pop in late July to completely crown him. Yet, prominent media insiders are already locks him in as the definitive wide receiver 3 on this depth chart, seemingly holding off a ferocious push from the highly impressive Jermaine Burton. Compounding the excitement on offense is the continued, stellar development of quarterback Will Howard, who is doing absolutely everything in his power to secure the coveted quarterback 2 position. Howard is hitting every single benchmark the coaching staff has set for him, demonstrating a command of the playbook that has turned heads inside the building. The pressure is immensely high for Howard to prove he can provide the exact same caliber of stable, high-level backup play that Mason Rudolph provided in the past. If Howard can mirror that stability during the upcoming preseason games, the coaching staff will gladly lean toward the younger, highly athletic signal caller who possesses a significantly higher ceiling as a franchise developmental piece. The secondary also found 2 massive winners in rookie cornerback Daquan Hardy and hometown hero Jaquan Brisker. Hardy, the explosive defensive back out of Penn State, has been a nonstop highlight reel, with beat writers consistently marveling at his elite athleticism and raw physicality at the line of scrimmage. The ultimate test for Hardy will come when he has to mirror elite, veteran route runners in pure man coverage during padded practices, where his tighter hips and change of direction fluidity will be thoroughly tested. On the safety side, seeing Jaquan Brisker report to the facility for the final phase of practices was an incredibly special moment for the entire city. Brisker is a local native through and through, a warrior who grew up bleeding black and gold, dreaming of the day he would don the iconic jersey. To see a local kid get to play inside the cathedral of football that is Acrisure Stadium brings an unmatched level of passion, soul, and heart to this defense. He understands exactly what this team means to the hard-working people of this city, and you better believe he is going to lay his blood, sweat, and tears on the line every single Sunday. The cold reality. The disappointed losers of June, unfortunately. The brutal nature of the NFL means that wherever there are great winners, there must also be losers who see their roster security completely slipping away. At the top of that unfortunate list is veteran quarterback Mason Rudolph. With Will Howard completely commanding the second-team reps and generating massive momentum, Rudolph finds himself in an incredibly precarious position. The organization is fully committed to developing the elite traits of young Drew Aller as their definitive quarterback 3, meaning they will never risk exposing Aller to waivers where a quarterback-needy team would immediately snatch him up. Therefore, if Howard wins the backup job, Rudolph becomes entirely expendable. To make matters worse, Rudolph was spotted sporting a heavy compression sleeve on his leg during minicamp, and observers noted that the signature velocity and zip on his passes looked noticeably diminished. Whether he is battling through a nagging lower body injury or simply losing ground in the arms race, Rudolph is firmly on the outside looking in as we approach the summer. Perhaps the most shocking name on the losers list is star pass rusher Alex Highsmith, whose long-term future in the Steel City has suddenly become incredibly cloudy. Highsmith missed a portion of minicamp due to an illness, and while everyone wishes him a full and speedy recovery, the financial writing on the wall is impossible to ignore. With Nick Herbig landing that monstrous $100 million extension and TJ Watt holding his own massive contract, it is highly improbable that the team can afford to keep 3 premium-paid edge rushers on the books long-term. The strategic plan appears to be utilizing this elite trio for one final, glorious run this season before the front office looks to trade Highsmith next offseason. Moving Highsmith prior to the 2027 season creates an immense amount of salary cap savings with virtually zero dead cap hit, allowing the team to secure a highly valuable day 2 draft pick in exchange for an elite edge rusher who will be turning 30 years old and looking for another expensive extension. Finally, undrafted free agent tight end Lake McCree out of USC saw his roster aspirations take a massive hit this week. McCree was the ultimate darling of the post-draft film review, showcasing elite hands and a brilliant, nuanced understanding of route running that drew immediate comparisons to reliable veteran tight ends like Harrison Bryant. He possessed all the traits to be a phenomenal developmental tight end four, but the surprise signing of a proven veteran like Robert Tonyan completely demolishes McCree's pathway to the active roster, likely forcing him to battle just for a spot on the practice squad. Minicamp has given us incredible clarity, and as the players prepare for a short summer break before training camp, the stakes have never been higher for the black and gold.